For this demonstration and instruction tutorial, I want to show how to get loose hairs back inside the dreadlock. As we can see, this dreadlock has loose hairs all over the place. For this style of dreadlocking, it's not uncommon to have a few loose hairs, but when we have a lot, that's the time for maintenance. So let's go ahead and pull some of these loose hairs back inside the dreadlock using only this crochet needle. This crochet needle is a tulip 0.7 millimeter. And when I do the maintenance on a dreadlock, I like to have the hook right here facing towards me. I hold it with my thumb and my index finger. I'll go ahead and, since I'm right-handed, I hold the crochet hook with my right hand, and I'm going to go ahead and do some of the locking this way by holding it with holding the dreadlock with my left hand. Now let's go ahead and let's see how we do this. Well, I'm going to go ahead and find where there's a lot of loose hairs. So let's just go ahead and pick any spot, since there's a lot of loose hairs on this dreadlock, and we can see a lot right here. So what we're going to do is, I take the needle, I poke it through the dreadlock to the other side. I'm going to grab the loose hairs with the hook and pull the loose hairs inside the dreadlock. And now I've pulled it and I've released it on the other side. Let's go ahead and see that again. Poke through. I'll go ahead and use my other hand to sort of help the hairs get caught by the hook. Pull the hairs inside the lock, and now the hook's inside the middle of the lock. And this is one of the important things I wanted to show you, is that I curve the crochet hook out of the lock so it doesn't pull any more of the loose hairs out on the other side. Let's go ahead and do that again. Through the lock, grab the loose hairs inside the lock and release. Now it's okay if you actually pull them out the other side. See, as we can see here, I have some of the hairs hooked on the end of the crochet hook like that, and that's okay. I release, and they're not loose hairs anymore, but an actual like loop of hairs from the other side. We're going to go ahead and continue this process. Poke through, grab loose hairs, release. I'm going to go ahead and twist the lock a little bit to find another spot. Poke through, grab loose hairs, release. Poke through, grab loose hairs, release. Now let's go ahead and do this a little bit faster, and let's see what the maintenance would look like on getting these loose hairs back inside the lock. So I'm going to go ahead and go in, release it, grab it, do this a few times. And you notice I'm actually curving my hand, so it's like an ellipse or a half circle. I curve it in, grab the loose hairs, curve it out. Curve it in, grab loose hairs, curve it out. I use my other hand to sort of pull the loose hairs closer to the dreadlock. That way when I hook them, I can hook more of them. And right here is where I've been doing the maintenance, and already we can see there's less loose hairs. We'll go ahead and do it a few more times, twisting the lock, grabbing them, pulling the loose hairs back to the lock, and doing that same style. Sometimes I'm noticing I don't even pull the crochet hook all the way out. I'm noticing that to speed up the process is that I poke it in, grab the loose hairs, pull it in, and I've pulled the loose hairs inside the dreadlock, inside the center of the lock now, and I'm just going to go ahead and poke it back through the other side. So this is sort of a easier way of doing it without releasing it out here. I'm just going to go ahead and keep it closer inside the lock. So what this is doing is it's pulling these loose hairs on the outside and not pulling them so far that it strips the hair. One of the things I don't want to happen is that when I grab the loose hairs, I don't want to just rip them straight out. We have to release the loose hairs inside the dreadlock. So we have to release them. If you just pull straight out, in and out, in and out, it's going to rip the hair and strip it, which is especially what we don't want. We want our hair to be nice. Continue doing the process. Grab the loose hairs, bring them in. Grab the loose hairs, bring them in. And it's this process of curving the needle. Now you don't have to curve the needle so much on the end, pushing it in. But it's actually a little bit smoother if you do. But you do have to curve the needle when exiting the lock. So we'll do this a few more times. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to make this dreadlock look pretty clean here, so you kind of know what to expect, and we'll compare it with the rest of it. Alright, now I've maintained this dreadlock here in this section right here, and we can see there's less loose hairs. Now it's part of having dreadlocks of this style that you are going to have little loose hairs poking out a little bit, but it's the long loose hairs that you don't want. So those are the ones that have to be put back inside the dreadlock. So once again, let's go ahead and review the steps. Take the crochet hook. So the hook is facing you. So you're holding it with the thumb, it's facing the same direction as your up to your thumb. Okay? We poke the hook inside the dreadlock. You can poke it in the middle, you can even kind of grab it on the side, but it needs to go hit the dreadlock a little bit. We grab the loose hairs with the hook, pull the loose hairs back in, and release. Push through. Now this should seem pretty logical, that to grab any loose hairs, all you have to do is with this crochet hook is push it through the lock, grab loose hairs, pull the loose hairs back in the lock, and release it. And repeat the process. This way you won't have any loose hairs poking out. Okay? Good luck with learning this style. If anyone needs other insights or help about just grabbing loose hairs, please post a comment and I'll do my best to get back to you as soon as possible. Good luck with dreadlocking those loose hairs. I'll go ahead and continue the process for a little bit longer so you can see it. I roll it with my hand. Maybe use the other hand to make it rolled extra nice. And I notice with doing this style, it makes the lock tighter. Oh, now this is starting to look good. We can see how this portion of the dreadlock here is a lot tighter and cleaner than the rest. And that's what you want to practice, is just keep doing it until you get a nice, clean looking lock. It's going to take some while if your locks are long, but it's well worth the time. Keep doing this for a few times. And there we go. That looks pretty good right there. A few loose hairs is okay. Alright, so the idea here is not to be crazy about if you have a little loose hair poking out, but when you have a lot. Dreadlocks are, at least the style, are bound to have a few loose hairs poking out, but we want to do the maintenance when we have a lot of loose hairs poking out. Okay, good luck with your dreadlocking process.